Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy! Today we have a piece of Azalea Root. This comes to us from our friend Dave at Calmwood Creations. Dave sent this to me quite some time ago, probably a year ago. The piece is about 11 inches long, about 6 inches wide, and about 2.5 inches tall. When I first got it, you can see there I've saturated it with CA glue. It was quite diminished in quality, shall we say. Just today, when I got it out again, I've looked at it several times trying to figure out how I could turn it. And today I've added even more CA in here. What I did is I set this on the edge of my workbench and I pressed on both of these long ends and I saw a wiggle right in here. So I added some CA, also added some over this way. And I hope it's going to keep it together. It's quite light. There's just not a lot of it there. There's a lot missing on the bottom here. And this is going to be the bottom, and this will be the top. I considered cutting off this piece. You're welcome, I didn't do that. That balances it out, but it didn't look very strong to me. But I think it'll be okay. I don't think I'm going to be doing any cutting into that. I'm going to do very little turning on the outside, as in none. I'll turn the top, of course, to make a bowl in here. My hardest part right now, and I still haven't decided, even though I turned the camera on, is how I'm going to mount this. I don't see that I can use a woodworm screw, maybe a faceplate ring, I'm not sure. I'm not really afraid of it. I'm not going to get into the line of fire. It's entirely possible this will come apart. We're just going to turn this and see what happens. So let me figure out how I'm going to mount this, and I'll show you what I come up with. I can only get 3 screws out of the 4 holes in there, but that'll hold it just fine. Now we'll get it over here to the lathe and get it mounted up. And the dovetail jaws on the chuck fit right into the dovetail recess in this faceplate ring. And that will hold it very securely. We just don't know if the piece will stay together. But we're going to find out. I brought up my tailstock just as a simple way of laying out for a recess or a tenon, either one. Simply by laying my pencil on my live center, I can create a circle that's about the right size. It's not exact, but it's about correct. If it's a tenon, it needs to be just a little bit smaller than this. If it's a recess, it needs to be just a little bit larger than this. I think I'm going to go with a tenon just because I squeeze down on the wood, whatever wood there is. If I use a recess and I expand into it, I'm going to spread all of these cracks apart, and that just doesn't make good sense to me. So we'll go with a tenon. I'm going to grab a gouge. I don't know which one yet, because I don't know if I'm going to turn these outside edges. Maybe we'll make the tenon first. So that'll be a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge, mask and face shield on, 600 RPM. Now I need to adjust my tool rest a little bit higher. And then I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. And that's good. Now we're going to do anything out here? I'm thinking not. This is so thin right here. That's the extent of my turning on the outside of this piece. Time for sanding. And that's going to make the outside of that root just look marvelous once we get some finish on there. And then with the lathe spinning in reverse at about 350 RPM. That looks like that's going to be pretty easy. That's 80 grit, and I'll work up through 400 grit. And on the Sandoflex, that's 120 that I showed you. After I do all of this with 120, I'll switch to 180 and do the same thing. And that's as fine as I'll go on the bark. And I'll bring you back here in a little bit when it's time to put some finish on. See you in a bit. Well, this is not going to be a museum quality finish on here, I can tell you that. And most of this is going to require brushing. I just want to get this base coat on here first. Boy, that's pretty, huh? Wow. Got some sanding sealer in this little can and a little brush. And I'm just going to apply it every place that I couldn't turn. And a lot of this is going to have to be gotten from the top side. I'm just going to get what looks down towards the bottom, like these long edges out here. So this is going to take a while. I'm looking forward to turning the inside of this. Hopefully we'll see that same nice grain. I imagine we will. So probably 2 coats of this sanding sealer, and then 2 coats of shellac, applied exactly the same way as the sanding sealer. Rag and a brush, rag and a brush. See you in a bit. I have the piece turned around with the tenon mounted up in the chuck. I'm a little worried now. You know, I applied quite a bit of CA in some of these cracks around here because there was some wiggling going on. And now I'm probably going to cut much of that away, which might bring back the wiggling and which might cause it to fly apart still. I just don't know. I'm limited in how big I can make the bowl by this big gap over here. And I spent quite a bit of time gluing this piece when I was working on the bottom, and now I see I'm probably going to cut it right off. So that was a waste of my time. But so be it. We're going to be using a 5/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge. We're going to be turning at 600 RPM, mask and face shield on. Now that's probably about as big as I can go. Still going to run off the side here, no matter what. Well, that's what we're afraid of, isn't it? Oh, that's a shame. Well, where'd it come from? Well, the whole thing's just a bark inclusion, so when I put my CA in here to hold it together, it's just bark, it's not wood. And that's why the glue failed. It's all bark. There's no wood there. Well, I don't know if I should post this video or not. I was cutting gingerly, and even if I did fail, I don't care. You can see me fail anytime you want to. Well, I can't fix it. Bark, you know, isn't gonna hold glue. Even if I were to use carpenter's glue, it still wouldn't hold it. Huh, too bad, because that's so pretty, isn't it? Yeah, I'll post it. I mean, look at the lesson we learned here. Folks are always saying, it kind of cracks me up. I was turning a bowl and it just blew up on me. Well, that didn't blow up. A piece fell off. That's no big deal. It's not like it slammed against the wall and went flying across the shop. That doesn't really happen. Little pieces maybe go flying across the shop, but this just ended up right here. It's just laying right here. And I'm standing over here. I wasn't in the line of fire. It's just nothing to be scared of. So, score 1 for the wood. See you next time.